So, very good evening to all. I hope all of you are doing well. So, let's start with our today's session. So, our today's topic is exploring the heart disease data set or the data using the Python programming language. Now, in the market, you can see that there are so many programming languages available. There are multiple languages through which we can explore the data. But why we have chosen Python? The first and the foremost thing is Python is getting popular nowadays because it is easy to learn, simple. Apart from that, when we talk about usage and applicability of Python, you can see that with the help of Python, we can get and achieve multiple things. Like we can create a web development application, we can create a desktop application, we can create an ML model, we can create a DL model. So many things are there which we can do with the help of Python, and that is the reason we are getting Python in most popular Python as the most popular language. So that is the strength of Python. Coming towards the rivals of Python, or rather than saying rivals, we can say competitors of Python. There are so many other languages like Java is there, who is having neck to neck competition with Python, but Python is more popular in the field and in the area of data analytics. So that is the reason we have chosen for this particular session that we'll be dealing with Python programming language itself. Now coming towards the various types of data sets whatever we are having, so here we can see that most of the people are those who are into the research field, those who are trying to get into the data analytics field. There are multiple data sets available, but intentionally I have chosen this particular data set because in this data set we'll be getting the glimpse of all the variants. Like we'll be able to handle the imbalance data, we'll be able to handle different features. So gradually when we will be moving into this particular project, I would suggest that simultaneously, if you're having queries, if you're having questions, you can also ask in the chat box. Whatever common queries are there, I'll be trying to address all of them. So without wasting the time, let's start with the data set. Now the data set which I have taken is from this particular website, that is Kaggle website itself. So I'll be sharing the link of this particular website from where you all can download the dataset. So the link is available in the chat box where you can download this dataset. So it will ask for your login ID. You need to log in first, and then you can download this particular dataset. So let's try to explore this dataset over here. So for exploration, we need a few important libraries. So the first and the foremost library which we need is your pandas library. So let's have that pandas library. I hope my screen is properly visible. If there is any challenge, do let me know. So first of all, we'll be importing pandas as PD. Now, why we need this library? This library is required for exploration of all kind of CSV files. So that is the need. So exploring the CSV files. Now, what is that CSV file? CSV file are nothing but your comma separated values. So, okay, I'm getting this suggestion that, is it okay now? All of you? Link is available with everyone in the chat now. You all can download the dataset from there. So let's move further. The first library which we need over here is your pandas library for the exploration. Second, we need over here is your NumPy. So NumPy as MP, I'm importing over here. So whatever linear algebra related operations we are having, we need to use your NumPy library over here. So NumPy library is required for all linear algebra related operation, mathematical exploration, mathematical operation, whatever we'll be doing. So these two libraries are very, very crucial, very, very important whenever we are trying to explore any sort of data set in the machine learning or in the deep learning domain. Now, the third library which we need over here is import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Now, why we need this library? This library is required for generating the basic graphs. So data visualization basics will be available over here. So let me have that. And the last library which we need for our exploration, basic exploration, is your Cbond library. So Cbond as SNS. So these are the four things which we minimum required for exploring the things. So let me execute over here. Now, as soon as I'm clicking on this run option, if all the libraries are getting installed, if all the libraries are accessible to us, easily we'll be able to see that yes, it is connected, it is available in the runtime, and we can utilize that. Now, as soon as we have imported these four libraries, as soon as we have gone through these four libraries, I hope Gulzar, my voice is fine, and the screen size is also okay. Now, coming towards your data importing part, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a new tab over here, and here I'm going to write down Google.Colab, because I'm using Google Colab over here. Those who are not using Google Colab, those who are dealing with Jupyter Notebook, they can directly import this particular data set. So I'll be using import files, and under that I'll be using uploaded. This is the inbuilt function which is available, equals to files dot upload. Now this particular function, this line, whatever we have written, why it is needed? Because we are currently working on Google Colab. So whatever files we want to upload, for that reason we need to write down this line of code. So ultimately, as we are going to execute this, we'll be getting this option. And here, if I'm clicking on this data set, you can see gradually that data set is getting uploaded, and now the 100% uploading of the data set is completed over here. So which means ultimately now we can deal with the data set. Now the data set is successfully uploaded. Now moving ahead, let us gather that particular data set in your with the help of your pandas library. So I'm going to name our data set as data now. If you want to make it specific, you can name it as hard data or whatever it may be. It totally depends upon your choice. So PD, that is pandas library. Under that we are having inbuilt function, that is read underscore CSV. So in this particular function, we need to provide the name of our data set. Now, what is the name of our data set? The name of our data set is heart.csv. So heart.csv, this data set will be taking. And now I'll be clicking on this run option. As soon as I'm running this, let's see whether our data set is visible or not. So for that, I'll be using the head function. This is the basic function which I'm using for checking all the details of the dataset whatever we are implementing. So here you can see data.head function. It will give me the head, means first 5 rows of the dataset. So here you can see 0 to 4. These are the indexing available, and these are the various features or attributes or the columns available in the dataset, and these are the values in the dataset which are already available with us. So let me take few questions if there are any question. What to do if I have very big data set, for example a large folder of images, how to connect those to Google Colab? Good question, Newzat. If you are having a big data set, in that case I would suggest try to upload that data set on your drive, and then mount your drive, and after mounting your drive you can easily access it from your Google Colab. I hope your question is addressed. Next question, if alternative columns in one column is missing, how to handle this? Yeah, definitely Anju will be dealing with handling with missing values and a missing column. So basic functions we have to take care for that. So wait for a few minutes, you'll be getting your answer. Heart disease, by looking at the eyes or computer vision, can we get that kind of data? Yes, definitely. If we are going for image based data set, then we can have computer vision techniques or object detection techniques and image processing on that particular data set also, and easily we can handle that kind of hard disease data set as well. So as of now we are already having the data set with us, which is uh, pre-recorded, and it is in tabular format. So for this specific session we'll be dealing with this. All right, so I think we should explore now, and then gradually we'll start. Yeah, Anju. correct. Ultimately, you can use mean median mode for handling the missing values. Apart from that, you can also do immutations. So that is also possible. Okay, Vishwajit, I would request the panelists to share the dataset link because few members joined lately. So till now we have explored what our dataset is. Now let us try to discuss what these features are there in this particular dataset. So this age feature is there, which is the age of the patient. Then sex, this is the gender of the patient. One is for male and zero is for female. Then we are having CP, that is for chest pain. Then we are having trust BPS. Now this is for checking the blood pressure. Usually if it is more than 120, then definitely we have to take care. And if it is less than 80, again in that scenario also these values will be affecting. So that is for your blood pressure measurement. Then we are having chol, which is nothing but your cholesterol. So again, the cholesterol value is associated with your blood pressure. So that is the feature which is required over here. Then FBS, which is required for your fasting blood sugar, means the patient, if it is there with fasting, so what is their sugar level that need to be measured. Then rest ECG is your electrode ECG, which is covered, its data which is there. Then thalanch, which is your heart rate, which is there with us. Maximum heart rate can be 220. So if any patient is having more than that, definitely it will be affecting. Then you are having exang, and this particular feature is used for your exercise induced angina, which means it's kind of an chest pain. Angina is kind of a chest pain which will affect your artery. It can create an artery disease, so that need to be taken care. Then your old peak. Now this particular thing is your depression based, which can be generated or considered when we are having exercise related to your rest. Then your slope, which is the peak of your exercise ST, which we have already discussed, your previous feature itself. Then you are having CA, that is your number of major vessels which are there with us. Then we are having thal, which is specifically they have not given the detail of this particular feature, but based upon the observation, it is nothing but your thalassemia, which is having the values usually in the normal range as 3. And if it is defected, so here in this entire data set, if the value is 3, it means we are going to consider it as normal. 6 means fixed deficit, and 7 means reversible deficit. So this is our observation for that particular column. And last column is your target column. So here if you are getting 1 means uh, anomaly which we have find out, which means that particular person is diagnosed with heart disease. And if you are having 0 means that particular person is not diagnosed with heart disease. All right, so this was about your data set. Now let us check how many columns are there, how many rows are there. So let me use this method data dot shape over here. So this data dot shape method will give you an idea how many rows and how many columns are there. So here you can see 1025 rows are there and 14 columns are available with us. So shape method is used for checking the total number of rows as well as total number of columns. So those who are not that much good in mathematics, how many total instances will be there? So the answer over here is data dot size method. So if I am using data dot size method, ultimately I'll be getting the total number of instances. So it will be row into your column. So I'm having 14,350 instances with me. So ultimately, if I want to get more number of instances, then you need to increase your data set size. But here, as of now, whatever data set I'm having, I'll be currently utilizing that itself. So 14,000 instances are more than sufficient for training any model in your machine learning. Now let us start with the first part. Now this data set we have considered from Kaggle itself intentionally. So so for checking that, we are having different functions. So before jumping into your missing part, let's get more detail of your data set. So for that, we are having one method, that is data.info, which will give you more information about your data set. Apart from this, we are having another method, that is data.describe method. So data.info, this particular method will give you more detailed information about your data set. So here you can see that there is no null value available. What is the column count? Here you can see 0 to 13 means total 14 columns are available. What are their data types? Only one column is there which is having floating type of data type. So ultimately it will give the basic information about our data set. If you want more detailed information like what is the mean value, what is the total count, what is the standard deviation, in that case you can deal with another inbuilt method, that is data.describe method, and I'll be using the transpose of it. So let me execute this. Here you can see with this method you can get better clarity, like what is the standard deviation of all the values available in your column, what is the mean value of your column, what is the count of your column, what is the minimum as well as maximum value of your column, 25% data set if you're considering, so what is the average value, all the things in detail you'll be getting over here. Okay, so moving ahead, now let us move towards the data handling part. So let me write down over here, checking the missing or null values. So let me make it as text. All right, Anju, definitely I'll be discussing about the imputation. If we are having any sort of null value over here, definitely we'll be discussing about imputation. So let us check with the null value first, whether in our data set we are having null value or not. So for that we are having the basic method data dot is null over here. So if we are using is null method, and if there is null value available, then it will be definitely reflected as true. So in all the columns you can see that there is false written, which means there is no null value. Apart from this, one more concern with this specific method is that we can use, or we should prefer to use, this data set by using, means whenever we are having less number of rows or whenever we are having less number of columns. So if for small data set, is null method itself will be sufficient. But if we are talking about big data set, like over here also we are having 1,000 rows, so in such scenarios we should use two other methods. So one of them is your summation method. So let me have that method, data dot is null. This is the function which we have used, and that sum we need to write down. So if you are writing sum, you can get the count of null values available in that particular feature, available in that particular column. So here we are getting the entire count of the specific rows over here, so specific columns over here. So each column is not having any missing value, like that none of the column is having missing value over here. So this is how we should deal with large number of data set. Instead of checking it manually, if we are going for summation, then definitely we can check it. Now this summation is very, very important. People are getting confused with sum method. It is not sum method. It is, here we are not adding, here we are doing summation. Now what is the difference between adding and summation? Summation means we are here we are going to summarize the entire column values. Apart from that, if you want the response in the form of boolean, then there is an alternative method available with us, that is data dot is null. If I'm writing over here, and under that if I'm writing dot any, then ultimately we'll be getting boolean response, that is true or false, if there is any null value available over here. So this is how we should check the missing value or the null value available in our data set. Now why we are creating this machine learning project? The main purpose of our creation of machine learning project is, whenever we are trying to use the data set whatever available with us, we have to focus upon the target column. So before getting into the further part, let me address the question from Anju over here, that what is imputation. Like whenever you are dealing with column deletion, row deletion, then if you are checking for missing value in the row, missing value in the column, that operation you can do for handling the missing value. Apart from that, you can use encoding techniques for handling the data, like label encoding, one hot encoding. These methods also are useful for handling the missing values. Okay, That will come under your imputation part. Now moving ahead, let us focus upon your target column. So if I'm writing data dot target, and under that if I'm writing value counts, so I'll be getting the exact count of the data. Now count of the data means count of the values available in my target column. Now why I want this? I want this because under this I'll be dealing with only and only what? I'll be dealing with only and only the target column. I should know whenever I'm focusing upon this, I should know what kind of target column I'm having, whether I'll be focusing on other columns. No, not required. Primarily your focus should be on only on your, all right, sorry for the interruption. You should be primarily focusing upon only your target column first. Knowing your target column is very, very important. Now I can see few questions over here. Do sum and dot any also notes null in the text fields? Yeah, definitely. If you want to check the empty value, if you want to check the missing values, it will give you the count. Kevin, I hope your question is addressed, sir. I have question. What if there is any missing value? How we can deal with that? Okay, Sharin, if you want to deal with missing value, as I have told you, you need to check whether the missing value is available in the row. If it is there, then delete that row, drop that row. If you are having missing value in that column, drop that column. For that, you can also use data visualization technique for checking the outliers. For that, you can use mean median mode to replace the values if you think that only some places you are having the missing values. So there are multiple options which you can do in the case if you are having the missing values. I hope it is clear now. Now moving ahead, coming towards your, yeah, definitely I'll be sharing this collab at the end so that all of you can practice it. So don't worry about that. I'll be sharing it on my profile. Moving ahead, coming towards the next part. Now, as we come to know that our target column is having 526 instances in the favor of heart disease diagnostic and 499 instances for non-diagnostic. So roughly it is, we can say, a balanced data set, but still we can make it more balanced. So how we are going to deal with that, we'll discuss that in the coming part. So before moving further, let us check whether this data set is having the duplicate values or not, because unnecessarily if we are using a data set which consists of redundant values, duplicacy is there. In that case, what we'll do, ultimately the model which we are going to train, it will not provide that much amount of accuracy because repeated values are there. So for that we need to handle our redundant value. So checking the duplicate value is very, very important. Now I can see one question is there. How would you know that the target column? Would you initialize it first or would the algorithm automatically detect it? What happen if there are many possible targeted columns? So that is the reason we should first explore our data set. Whenever we are checking our data set, after checking the first five columns, first five rows and exploring the columns in our data set, we should identify what will be our target column. Now it totally depends upon your problem. Usually there will be one column which will be your target column. Under that you can have binary classification. Under that you can have multi-class classification. Values can be multiple, but you need to consider, you need to figure out your target column. Automatically system won't know. That is the reason whenever we are taking out X and Y, whenever we are considering the training and testing part, during that time we have to be very careful about considering your training part as well as your testing part, and what columns need to be there in the training section, what columns need to be there in your testing section. So identifying that is very, very important. All right. How to balance the class variables since they are not equal? Good question, Amar. I'll be balancing the data set in the coming minutes. So let's wait for 2-4 minutes. Sir, I wish we could have any missing value and then show us how to deal with it. Yeah, Leopold, I can understand, but as this data set is not having that, so maybe if you are having time at the end, I'll give some practice example and in that I can discuss that. Sir, please seek a bit on how to reproduce the sample to make a good ratio of all the possible outcome. Yes, Monu, keep some patience. In the coming hour, you'll get more detail into that. So, yeah, you'll be getting the session link also at the end. So don't worry, recorded session will be there. So let's move further. I think enough with the question. Let me have the next part. So for checking the duplicate value, I need to pass the column. So here data, under that I'll be dealing with data dot duplicated. So data dot duplicated is the method which I need to use, and I need to identify whether there is duplicacy in my data or not. So for that I'll be assigning its value as true. So parenthesis I missed over here. Let me execute over here. So here you can see there are so many columns which is having redundancy among them. There are so many columns where you can see duplicacy is there. So we need to handle all this duplicacy. Now how to handle this duplicacy? The best part is drop it, because unnecessarily it will be affecting your competition time. So let me have over here data, then drop and underscore duplicate if I'm writing. So this is again an inbuilt method available for handling the duplicate values. In this method, we need to write down the parameter. And now what is the parameter we need to take care? We need to, as we have already figured out, there are true values where duplicacy is there. So in place of true value, we want to drop it. So in place equals to true if I'm writing. So these values will be dropped. So let me execute this line. Now I'm getting some error. Let me check over here what kind of error I'm getting over here. Okay, duplicates I need to write. I have written only duplicate. Now I think it will be executed. Yeah, much better. So here we are able to handle the duplicate value. Now how we can trust that there is no duplicate value as of now? So the simple solution is, let me use data.duplicate again, and under that this is the function. So let's give the parenthesis, and under that I will be writing true over here, and if this is true, then we should get some values. Again, I think I have done a mistake over here. Okay, duplicated here I need to write. So let me execute over here. All right, so here you can see that now we are getting empty dataset value. Now what does this empty dataset value means? Empty dataset value means now there is no such duplicate value available in our dataset. So that is how we should deal with the duplicacy in the dataset. I hope all of you have got the glimpse of it. So yeah, Hansita, already we have discussed that mean and median can be used for imputing. Then is this imputation done using simple imputer? Yes, simple imputer also you can do, Anju, but now the library is updated in sklearn, so do take care of the version. All right, is it going to check for complete column has duplicate? Yes, definitely. Murugravel, it will be checking for all the columns, as you can see over here. Is duplicate value affect the result? Definitely, Sharin. It will not give you much accurate model. Apart from that, it will be increasing our accuracy, competition time. Unnecessarily, we will be training a model which is not that much uh, good for training purpose. Okay. Now moving ahead, can we use lambda function for missing value and outliers? Also, which one of the means to use mean and median? Yes, definitely you can use lambda functions also. That can be one of the possible solution. What if duplicate values are correct? Will you not be omitting the data? Example, two men have 110 blood pressure. Now it totally depends upon what size of data set you are having. If your data set is big, then in that case definitely you should go for avoiding the duplicacy. You should drop those column. If your data set size is small, then in that case I would suggest keep the duplicate values as well. With respect to which data columns are there in this data set, duplicate columns, as I have mentioned, Shubhantra, we have checked over here, all the columns were having some duplicate values, and that's why entirely we have removed them from all the columns. After dropping duplicate, does in drops only one duplicate or all? It drops all the duplicates. uh, if any other way to check only for 2 or 3 columns, in that case, Murgavel, you need to be specific. You need to specify which column you have to check the duplicate value. Here we have checked the entire data set. You can also check for specific columns. All right. So I hope all the queries are done now. Let's move further. Yeah, Raman, duplicate value means same values are there redundantly. It was available in our data set. Now moving ahead, let us have the graphical visualization over here. So specifically, I'll be suggesting over a basic graph over here. With the help of Matplotlib and Seaborn, we'll be drawing a graph for comparing the different column. But I would suggest you should compare all the other columns like this only. So for this purpose, we'll be using a distance plot. So let me have the age column over here. So age is available in data. Now this particular column we have to take care. So all the values of this age column will be considering over here. Now another variable I'll be taking, which is sex, which is the second column available in our data set. So for that I need to specify its name over here, and all the values will be stored. And then I'll be using SNS. Now what is that SNS? Already we have imported the library which was Seaborn. So under the Seaborn we are having dist plot, that is distance plot. So distance plot, here you can see automatically it is prompting us where I'm going to pass my value combination. So here age is my first column which I want, and then I want my second axis to be addressed over here. And again, you can also specify the color combination. So here I want to give the color as purple according to your requirement. So if you want to go for green, you can go for green, whatever color you want. You can specify the color for the graph. Now let's decorate it. So ax dot 0, that is your axis 0. Let me set the title over here, underscore title. And here I'll be specifying distribution of age, distribution of age over here. Now further, if you want to specify the font size also, you can specify. It totally depends upon your requirement. So ax then 0, I want to give set the limit. If you want to set the x axis limit, that also you can set. So x axis limit I'll be considering over here. Then here you need to specify what minimal values you are going to consider for generation of the graph. So here I want minimum age should be considered. So that's why I will be considering minimum. In that I'll be having the age. And apart from that, I want maximum age over here. So these are the parameter which I'm using for the maximum age. So I need to specify in this manner. Round bracket I need to give. All right. So now all the bracket combinations are completed. Now moving further, this we have done for what? This we have done for your age axis. So let me configure our figure also. So FIG figure I'll be giving, and axis I want to give. So we are going to generate a subplot because in the same diagram itself, I want age distribution should be visible, as well as the sex distribution should be visible. So here I'll be using plot dot subplot method. So subplot will be splitting our graphs into two, and here I'll be specifying 1 and 2. So first part will be for your age and second will be for your sex. Now let me have the figure size. If you want to specify the figure size also, you can specify so that visibility of the figure can be easily measured. So here I'll be writing 18,4 like this. Further, let me move over here. If I'm writing plt dot show, so it will make the graph visible. But again, here in the figure size, I think I might have missed the brackets. So let me check over here. Figure axis, figure size is not available. Okay. So let's avoid giving figure size then if it is not available with us. So let me execute over here. So now it is saying that axis plot, whatever we are trying to provide, is not having its assigned value. So let me have AX equals to this value. Is it better? Yeah. We have got a partial graph over here. Now this partial graph is available for the distribution of the age. Now moving further, let me have the distribution of your second part, that is your sex, which is the second column available in our data set. So let me copy this. And again, we need to provide the axis value over here while plotting the graph. So distance plot I want for first, and for that I'll be specifying the column name over here. And if you want to change the color, you can change the color. So purple I'm giving over here. So let me execute it again. Let's see. Now here you can see that graph is generated automatically, and with this particular graph now you can try to analyze the value. So the range of the value over here mostly is the heart attack age is in between 50 to 60. This is the analysis which we can do over here. The distribution of the gender also we can see, like mostly male are getting the heart attacks over here. So all these things we can easily figure out with the help of visualization. So like this, I would suggest you can explore your data set. Yeah, Sanjay, it's totally depends upon you what kind of visualization technique you want. So this is one of the way we can do the exploration. Now till this point, I hope all of you got the basic glimpse. Let me take few Q&A, few questions, sir. Now check the size of the data set. Dhanush definitely will be considering the sample data set now instead of considering the data set shape and size. What is the difference between SNS and Matplotlib? I think both are used for creating the graph. Yeah, Dinesh, Matplotlib will give you the basic graphs like bar graph. You can have pie chart, but Seaborn will give you the more complex graph like relational plot, distance plot, categorical plot. So that is the difference between both. All right, Ashwini, thank you for the suggestion. Sir, is there any better approach of choosing the type of graph? Definitely, it totally depends upon what kind of feature values you are comparing. As we have considered the type of the data, whatever we were having. So only one of the column is having the floating type of data. So based upon that, we can select the method. We can select the graph type. So what if two rows have same feature value except for one feature? Will it be still called duplicated? No, Raman, in that case, it will not be called entirely duplicated. So can we also use histogram in this case? Yeah, definitely we can use Haseen histogram over here. So that is again possible. All right. Now moving ahead till this point, I hope all of you are clear. Now let's move further for your data set exploration. So let me check the size and shape. So data set is now having how many columns and how many row? Here you can see. So instead of 1000 rows, now we are having only and only 300 rows available with us. So you can see so many redundant columns were there. So rows were there. So many redundant data was available with us. And that is the reason ultimately our accuracy might have been affected. So all of you need to take care of such kind of situations, such kind of scenarios. Now moving ahead, let me try to consider the updated version of the dataset. Now it totally depends upon you whether you want to deal with the sample dataset or the same dataset. If you want to consider for exploration, you can consider it. So here, if you want to see what sort of dataset you have covered till now, so instead of going for the full dataset, if you want to go for the sample fraction of the dataset, that is also available. With the help of sample method, we can do that. So let me have data equals to data dot sample method. So this data dot sample will give us fraction of fraction size. You need to specify like what fraction of data set you have to consider. Here I've specified 1 means 10%. So then I need to consider the heart disease data and non-heart disease data. So I'll be naming it as non-heart disease. So heart disease is HD over here. So these are the variables which I'm creating. Now these variables are available from data dot location. Now what is the location available with us? It is available in the target column. So data dot target column I want to specify over here. And finally, I'll be making it at 0. If it is equivalent to 0, then it will be non-hard disease. And if it is equivalent to 1, then it will be hard disease. So let me copy this and let me paste it over here. So here I'll be making it as hard disease if it is HD. And let me make the value as 1 over here. Now while making this value, you have to pass both the parameter, like from start to end we need to check all the columns. So here I'll be making it as colon 138 because 138 rows are left now. The last row indication is 138. That is based upon my observation. You can also do that. And further, now I'll be creating my new binary data set because now we are having binary data set. For that, we'll be combining the data set now with the help of the combination of both hard disease patient and non-hard disease patient. So for that, I'll be using the concat method. So concat method is nothing but your concatenation, which will concatenate non-hard disease as well as hard disease data. So let me write down over here why we are doing this, because we want to balance the data set intentionally, and that is the reason we are doing this concatenation over here. So this is how we'll be passing the value. So, and after passing, one more thing we should be taking care of, that is shuffling the values. Sometime what happen, while concatenating you will be getting first hard disease patient and then non-hard disease patient, like that. So shuffling is again very important. So b underscore data, that is the binary data which we are having. So for that, shuffling need to be done. So b underscore data sample, whatever we have considered. So b dot sample method we are going to use, and again we are going to shuffle it. So fraction equals to 1 I'm writing, and then I'm passing the random state value as 7. Now any value you can pass. So you want to randomize the value after 7 character, after 7 rows or after 5 rows, whatever it may be. So let's make it 5. If you are more comfortable with 5, we can make it 5. Any number you can take because you are randomizing over here. So b underscore data dot head I'll be using for displaying the updated data set for all of you. So here, if I'm executing this, you all can see that there is one small error coming over here. Let me check what is that error all about. So here I'm using non-hard disease data, then data dot location I have considered over here. So under that data and then target value, so unhashable type it is specifying for the target column. Give me a minute. I need to check where exactly we are getting the error, because location column, if it is not found, then definitely we'll be getting this error. Okay, here I have added this extra bracket, and that is the reason we are getting this error. I think now it will be resolved. Again, stuck at same point. Okay, above also we have given that round bracket. So now that's why it was making it as a list. So that's what, that is the reason we were getting the error over there. Let me see over here. Random, I think spelling of random is incorrect. That's why it is saying random error. And now we'll be getting the updated answer much better. Now this is our updated data set, which we have done with multiple things. So what we have done till now, we have taken the data set, we have considered the hard disease patient values, we have considered the non-hard disease patient value, then we have concatenated the data set, and then we have shuffled the data set. So this is what we have done till now. Now moving ahead, the further part is checking for the count of the distributions. So it totally depends if you want to go for the value count. Already here we have done the count. Let me again scroll up and show you all. So here a target value count we have already done for this particular stuff. So again, we can do over here the target value count. And now you can see 164 we are getting over here for the affected people, and roughly we are getting 138 for non-affected people. So almost the data set is now getting much balanced. So the distribution is much better over here. Now coming towards the next part. Now here I would suggest you can apply so many things, like you can deal with feature engineering, you can deal with feature selection, you can go for correlation matrix, you can identify the important feature, you can drop the feature, so many things are possible. Okay, so let me take few queries over here. Sir, why we are taking random state? Dinesh, we are taking random state so that we can shuffle the data randomly, that's why. uh, can you check the shape now? I think Priya, shape is visible with you based upon the target column. That was the last column, that's why I've intentionally given that particular value. Prerak, you can give any other value. Newzat, if you don't want to give 138 value, whatever last column value you want to give, you can give randomly. For curtailing that, I have given that value. If you don't want to give that value, you can give. Sample, Priya, sample is used for sampling your data set into small chunk. Okay. 26, what was the motive? Okay, Monu Kumar, my motive was I want to divide the data set into two equivalent half, that was heart disease patient and non-heart disease patient. For that, intentionally I have checked the values, then I have created sample data set of it. Further, I have concatenated the data set which I have created, and then shuffled the values, and then now I am having the sample data set with me, which is much better compared to the previous data set. I hope the recap is clear to everyone. So please talk about the old distance plot and the new C1 methods. All right. So the older version of distance plot was not having the linear description about it, but now you can have the combination of histogram. You can also skip the histogram part of the distance plot. That is the update which is available. How to deal with categorical feature having high cardinality? Sanjay, good question. In the case of your high cardinality data, in that case, I'll be suggesting that you should use one hot encoding technique. That is the suggestion over here. Now moving ahead, let's quickly move further. Let's divide the data set into training and testing part. So X is the variable which I'm taking over here. So B underscore data, and then I location I want to give over here. That is for integer location. I location stands for. Then I want to give, skipping the last column, that is our target column. So we need not have target column for our training value. That's why in X we will not provide target column. And then I will be considering over here data dot I location, and under that I'll be using only the last column, which is the target column available with us. So I'll be executing this, executed successfully. Now let's divide the data into training and testing part. So first I'll be using from sklearn dot model selection. This is the new modification in the upcoming sklearn function. Earlier we were having code selection, now we are having model selection. So let's take it from here. Train underscore test underscore split. This is the function which we are having for splitting the data. Further, we need 4 variable for training the model. So x underscore train, comma, let's take x underscore test, and comma y underscore train, and then comma y underscore test over here. So these are the 4 different variable which we need. And now let's assign the value of the train underscore test underscore split function over here, where I'll be passing x comma y. And again, test size here you need to specify, as our data set is now not big, so I'll be using test size as only 20%, so 0.2 I'm giving over here. And random state you can give for randomizing the value. It totally depends upon your choice. If you're giving the random state, what will happen? whatever model value will be generated, whatever accuracy of the model will be generated, it will remain as it is. So that is the suggestion over here. Now, if you want to scale your data set, you can scale it up. So for scaling up, we can use from sklearn. Let me have the pre-processing library processing. So here I'll be importing the standard scalar function. So standard scalar, and under this I'll be using sc equals to standard scalar, which is the function available. So variable I'll be considering as sc. So standard and scalar. Let me have this function. Now moving ahead, as soon as we have taken this standard scalar function over here, let's try to transform the value of your x and y. So x underscore train equals to sc dot fit, that is for fitting the transform value, new values. Now why we are doing this step? We are doing this step for fitting the value in the proper scale so that our accuracy can be improvised. So you can try without doing this step what accuracy you all are getting, and after doing this step what accuracy you are getting. So definitely there will be certain improvisation in the result. So sc dot transform I am writing over here, and under this I am passing as x underscore test. So let me execute this. If I'm not having any spelling mistake, definitely I'll be getting the answer over here. So there was one spelling mistake. I think it is better now. So underscore need to be added over here. All right. So this is how we have scaled our model. Now let me jump into the model training part. So I'll be considering random forest algorithm over here. Import random forest. So random forest classifier is already there in this ensemble library. So that I need to take care. So random forest classifier we want. So that is how we have taken the random forest classifier. And now let's take a variable as model. Any name you can give over here. And let me have this random forest classifier. Under this, if you want to specify certain parameter, you can set the parameter like estimator. So whatever amount of trees you want under this random forest, that also you can specify. So I want 100 trees over here. Whatever maximum depth you want, that also you can specify. So maximum depth as 5 I'm specifying over here for the tree. And then finally I'll be fitting the model. So how you need to fit the model? So model dot fit you need to do for both the part x underscore train comma y underscore train. So let me execute this. All right, the model is ready now with the maximum depth as 5. Now let us predict the answer over here. So from sklearn, there are so many metrics which we can use, but specifically here as we are exploring, so I'm not going into this result analysis part. Simply I'll be considering only accuracy score over here. So accuracy spelling is incorrect. Score will be directly calculating and we'll be checking whether the model is giving us a better result or not. So how to check that result? So y underscore predict is the variable I'm creating over here. So this model will predict the value from model dot predict, and then let me pass the testing value over here. So this is the testing value available, and let me have the accuracy. So this accuracy we are calculating by using the inbuilt function, which is accuracy score. Now this accuracy score will need what? It will need two parameters. First one will be y underscore test, and second parameter will be y underscore predict, which are our predicted values. And finally I'll be printing accuracy over here. So let me execute over here. So you can see around 84% of accuracy we have got. Now there are so many ways through which you can increase the accuracy, like you can do hyperparameter tuning, you can do pipeline search, you can do grid search, you can train the model in the form of stack. So our today's session was not focusing upon training the model, getting better accuracy, improvising the result, optimization, but our primary focus was on handling the data, exploring the data. I hope all of you have got the glimpse of that. Now let me take quick questions over here. Dinesh is asking, please tell us about I location. Dinesh, I location we have taken for providing the integer location of the specific columns. So if you want to deal with integer indexing, then I location you need to use. Otherwise, you can use location. Shouldn't we scale the data before putting them into any model? Uh, it is suggested that you should scale the data because you'll be bringing the data in simple range like 0 to 1. You'll be trying to drag the data, and that is the reason we have first scaled the data and then train the model. If you are doing it later, it is not of any use. Then the sample size was not specified. Doesn't it matter, or is that the fraction was? Yeah. So here sample size already we have explored above that 300 rows were there and 14 columns were there. So that's why it is not again specified. No, Nidhi Jain, we are not focusing on upsampling and downsampling because of short of time. When to use a standard scalar and when to use min max scalar. Whenever we want to standardize a value in a specified range from 0 to 1, like in this case, we were having a specific range of values. So in such kind of data set, we should use standard scalar method. Min max, we should prefer where we are having less distribution among the data set. So what is model scaling? If you want to scale the model, means perform hyperparametric tuning, you can use the scaling of model. What is the difference between fit transform and transform? Rakshit, good question. Transform will only transform the value. Fit transform will try to fit your value and then transform it. Yeah, definitely it's a good practice to use a scaling on all the columns at once. If you are specifically focusing on single column, that also you can do individually. No, Prerak, I would not suggest that you should do this scaling part before splitting. After splitting, you know what kind of data we are doing. Standard scaling, a scalar is used for scaling the value from 0 to 1 range. And the next question, find the best hyperparameter tuning. I would suggest grid search you can use for random forest. Is there any disadvantages of correlation? Yeah, sometime if your observation is incorrect, you may drop an important feature. I hope most of the questions are clear now. No, Sharik, it's not an statistical model. Yeah, definitely, usual. I'll be providing the GitHub link, or else I'll be uploading it on my LinkedIn profile. You can get it from there. So your score can be improvised if you are doing hyperparameter tuning. If you are trying with this different estimators and depth, try with 15 depth. Definitely, you'll be getting better answer. Training by stack means you are trying to train the model by using multiple algorithm one after the another. John tried to perform hyperparameter tuning for that. All right. I hope all the questions are now addressed. So that was it from my end. Definitely, this is not the best accuracy which we are getting for this particular data set. We can get more than 98% also. But yeah, there are so many things which we need to do for performing hyperparameter tuning. So I hope you have got something out of this session. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity.